What is good, rookies? Welcome to our trade talk. This is probably one of the more important trade talks we're going to have in the season, as we've made some grave mistakes in our starting team while also having some wins, Dunkley being the main one. Before we get into our plan of attack, how we're approaching trades this season, I want to thank you all. We just went over 300 subscribers on YouTube. Absolutely crazy. We smashed our 200. We've now smashed 300. The new goal is 500. So then we can have members. We'll do more live streams at 500 too. And just a lot more exciting things are possible once we reach that 500 count. So if you haven't already, the subscribe button thing will be in this direction over there. So just go click that. It'll take you 2 seconds. And while you're at it, just hit like on this video. You can trust me. I started dunks. That's all my credibility. So let's get into trade talks. So with our starting team, we didn't have some really key players. And you'll see below, I actually have some of them listed for our main targets to get in. These are one, like an error fade, such as Smith, be the man with the long Goldilocks hair, kind of like myself, but just a better footballer, admittedly. And then we've also got some rookies that we just missed out on. Again, two of them are, I would say, more essential, being the rookies. I think the priority is getting the cash gen in order for the overall season. But I will put my hand up. I couldn't get a read on Chris Scott or the team of how they spoke about Smith. And now we're here. So we're going to go through what an aggressive trade situation would look like, but then also more of a strategic approach where we don't boost early and we just fiddle our way through because we can, because we've got best 18 for the next 3 rounds. So with that in mind, it does alter how we can approach our trades. So we've got our trade targets, but who are we going to trade out? The easiest targets for the moment are Sam Pepper. I didn't actually watch the game, but I watched a little bit of the game, maybe the first half, just to get an idea on what was happening. He was not interested. He did some little sprints and ran around the ball, but he was too busy high-fiving and hugging players. That's literally it. Or diving, shoulder diving into some of them. My goodness. So he has got a bit of cash on him, 180, which could be, if we want to do a passive trade where we're not boosting, he will be included. He's included in all the trade options that we're going to go through. Pepper's getting out of the team. He fucking shoulder dived the contract. So, sorry, mate, you're out. Then we have some underperforming higher priced primos. Sartis and Foss. Now, there are cons and pros to both of these. Foss being job security. This can play in his favor because we may not necessarily need him to give us our spike scores or make cash quickly. We can kind of have him knowing he's got that wing, maybe halfback role potentially, where he can do a bit more. The consideration here is we have a cheaper player in one of Lindsay that has probably a better role and has performed better in that role, given Lindsay's in Melbourne and Foss is in North Melbourne, which have a bit of a struggle. The appealing factor was that maybe Foss got that early McKercher role in halfback. Not something we really saw. Not knocking him as a player. He did look good. He did have some really good moments. But from a Supercoach perspective, we can't play that sort of game. We have to go from more of an analytical point of view. So Foss and Sartis are on the shopping block. I'm leading to trade out Foss just because there's a little bit more cash on his head. And Sartis actually has the scoring capability. Yes, the time on ground is an issue, but hopefully Brad Scott realizes that whatever he did last week with Redmond and the CBA mix doesn't work, and Sartis can come make his cash quickly. However, injury updates say that Parrish is 1 week away. I'd say 2 at max. Then you throw in their buy. I'm fairly sure they've already got a delayed price change as well from Essendon, any players from Essendon. That is hard. This kind of puts me in favour of trading out Sartis instead of Foss, unfortunately. Foss has time on ground. He does have potential to have spike games. So I think I will keep Foss. Sardis can have the potential to pop out 100, but will he get enough time or enough games to get a price change at all with Parrish only 1 week away? Then the bye, it doesn't look great. Mind you, I will be confirming trades on Thursday, not in a video, but on X. So make sure you go follow me on there. We're almost at 200 followers on there, so you guys are absolutely awesome. But our more passive approach to this is just correcting rookies, not chasing after Smith, not trading down Perryman, just moving the rookies to the correct places. Now, how we can do this is if we go Pal Pepper and we go Sardis, we swing down Hewitt, and then we bring out Levi. If I can spell Levi, there we go. And then we want Lindsay as well. So this is like the rookie correction, more passive approach for longevity in the season. And then this way, we can throw Levi on there, and then we just have Foss as our emergency moving forward. Quite easy, because from here, we basically have, I dare say, probably the more fieldable options in our midfield from a rookie perspective. We give Perryman another shot, hoping he doesn't have the tag role permanently. There are concerns that Degoe coming back in might affect his CBA time and whatnot, but he is more defensive than offensive as a midfield player. So keeping that in mind, I do not believe there should be too much change, but I do want a game to double check because we picked him for a reason. Now, if that role has dramatically changed like that, his break even is achievable. He's not going to lose too much cash. And we're most likely, if I can make it happen, going to go up from Perryman instead of down, like most people are doing. Just because if I'm making a trade on a mid-pricer, I want to go up or sideways. Now, the two options that we have, or that I'm considering, is we just go up to short, because short's role actually looked fine. He had kick-ins, looks to be the main man. Richmond just suddenly turned into a new gear and actually won. I don't think that's going to happen all the time. So I actually don't mind moving Perryman to short. It only costs us about 50k, which we will have the difference from if we just move like Boss, for example, instead of Sardis. But we can do that next week. Another concern is Chera. Some reports are saying that Chera was training a full session in the defense line around that halfback role. Because I believe if we bring up our filter, I think it was Silvani. Silvani coming back into the team actually has shifted some things. They scored 100. Apparently Silvani and Doherty, I think as well, are going to make some things move around at the Blues. So I'm not going to trade out Chera anything just yet, because you could use Chera as a vehicle to Smith and then Perryman all in the one move. So you basically replace Perryman with a rook, Chera with, say, let's just call it. We'll go Perryman into like a Bice if he's feasible. We go Chera into Callahan, and then we move up someone. So maybe we move Stone on, or Davidson on, or Hewitt on, and get Smith down here. So I don't want to use a boost the first round, but I'd be more than happy if Smith is up to the challenge of playing the wing role, which is what we predominantly saw him do. He only had like 26% CBAs. So I want to see what Smith does, because I was off him for a reason. Yes, he had a really high spike score. I can't get that score back. I can't go and get that score. So I want to see what he looks like on a bigger ground. GMHBA Stadium is known for having a much thinner ground and the wings not being as wide. So it's much easier to get involved in, the main crux of it, into the guts. So I want to see one more week. Could cost me, but I'm willing to kind of follow my gut feeling and stick with my plans that I had with my team, because it did work. We ranked quite well. We have a really good start. Why would I detour off my plan in the first place? So Perryman's getting a redemption shot. Chera's got a redemption shot. Chera's an easy sideways to Callahan, pocket 6k or something like that. We're correcting our rookies, and then we're pretty much going to field Kako over Hewitt. We're going to loop Stone and Davidson because we may not actually like Davidson. Now, the only consideration with this is if DeConning does quite well and we're going to capture that score, I'm going to put the emergency on Hewitt anyway. Hopefully nothing comes back. But again, depending on team sheets, one of these boys are going to have the emergency so we can captain Stone and take DeConning's VC. Just because we didn't have that option last week and it screwed us because Gorn decided to, I don't know, sit on the bench for like 20% of the game. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking from a strategic season-long trade perspective. I want to hold my boosts for emergencies, essentially. But if we weren't being, we'll call it passive, if we're being aggressive, we're going to go Perryman down to Bice, which I really don't like the look of. And then we're going to go Sardis to Levi. Again, cannot spell. And then we're going to move Palpepper to Smith. That still gives us 100k to work with moving forward, which I actually do like. It can work much better in regards to correctional trades. So maybe instead of, I do like the idea of bringing Callahan in after the bye, but we could potentially go up to like a Rosie or something like that as well. Or if we, because we're missing out on Lindsay here. And so the correctional trade here in next week will be no boost, Chera to Callahan, and then potentially if Foss doesn't do enough again, we go Foss down to Lindsay. Do we boost again? Because we will have around 150k then. Do we then move Roberts on and bring him up to like a Houston or a Whitfield or something like that? We have a bit of money to play with. So then in this instance, we're looping Kako and Davidson. Again, depending on Thursday night's game, I would much prefer to take Kako's score. But if DeConing doesn't actually work out, then I'm just going to put Kako on field. And we're just going to run with Dunkley for our captaincy options, which I will get into very shortly as well. But they're our trade points. Now, do I believe Smith is an absolute must to bring in this week against St Kilda? Possibly. Does he get the Windhager tag? Possibly. A lot of things are unconfirmed. So I am still very unsure on how I want to approach this. If you guys have thoughts or certain methods you like to follow for trading, comment down below. I'm always curious to have conversations with other coaches about how they're handling trades, especially if you faded Smith. Like, is Smith like the one thing you have to do and you just have to make happen no matter what? Again, I'm leaning more towards just correcting rookies because I don't want to have to make corrections. Like, what if Smith goes for a 70 because the wing, it was just a stadium consideration, and maybe he has spike scores every time he plays at home? That is a very real thing that can happen. What if Bice gets dropped? Then we've got a dead rook we have to worry about. A lot of things to consider. And I don't mind the option of moving Perryman up to short as well. So there's a lot of different things. So another version of an aggressive trade would be we don't actually get Smith. We get Palpepper up to Levi again. So there's three scenarios really. Then we move Sardis to Lindsay. Actually, no, we need to move Foss. We need to get Foss to Lindsay, and then we move Perryman up to short. This is the third option. Now, a lot of people might be like, well, why are you bringing in short? And the plan with this is that I don't want to overcommit to an SDK or a Fraser, where SDK has his last really good matchup this week in the Saints. Then he's probably going to go 70 to 80s and get chopped out by Stanley, who we know will come in. Yes, Sam DeConing's only really looking after the midfield ruck time, and then he's doing just marks and possession work around the midfield. I think Neil Abs touched on this really, really well. It looks like Blitzcarves and Neil are going to chop him out in the defensive and forward line. So there are other scoring opportunities, very much like what we see with his brother in Tom De Koning. But I don't trust the pick because you're essentially spending a trade to bring in someone that's going to have one good game and then some averages just for cash gen to then trade them back out in 3 weeks, most likely. I don't like the longevity of that look. Whereas short, I actually do like the role. I do believe that the first game is an outlier in itself, and I do think he can push hundreds. This also prevents another rookie spot appearing on field. Now, yes, with best 18, we don't really get any like harsh feedback straight away from having more rooks on field. But the defensive line of rooks is still really, really rough. Patton got dropped or subbed, and he's most likely going to get dropped. Bice came in and scored 52 with, playing half a game, which was awesome. But you got Mills coming into the team, and that's also another consideration. Can I hold Perryman to the point where I can move him down to Mills when he's named? Because that is a trade that I would love to do because it makes the most sense. I get to keep Roberts at M4. I bring in Mills after the bye if Perryman shows up. And it is really for that reason I want to give Perryman a chance. Because if he isn't doing that tag role consistently and he can still push up an 80 or 90, he's still a hold. He's still worthwhile. Keeps a rookie off field. So for the moment, I'm only going to do 2 corrections, which most likely will be Sardis and Palpepper. So we're going to stick with this. Again, if you guys want to stay up to date at the last minute changes, because there most likely will be, given team sheets, make sure you follow me on X for these. And that's it, guys. That's probably what we're thinking for team structure this coming week. We'll see how we go. But at the end of the day, 1% ranking at the moment. We're going to try to hold on to it, but there's going to be fluctuations. If I can maintain the top 10% for the next few weeks, we'll be in a really good spot to be able to trade our way to top 1,000 again, essentially. So exciting times. If you made it this far, make sure you give the video a like. If you haven't subscribed, do that now. And leave a comment below on your trade-ins and trade-outs. If you have a preference on any of the trade scenarios that I went through, make sure you let me know. I'm really curious to get some feedback from you guys. Everyone has something to offer, whether this is your first year or whether this is your 10th. Again, this is only my second year. I came in as a rookie last year. I still consider myself to be a rookie and will consider myself to be a rookie until I finish in the top 1,000. So I might be a rookie coach forever. You never know. But with that said, guys, I'll see you later on this week on Sunday night for our team review. And then, as always, on Mondays at Centre Bounce for the review crew. See you in the next one.